In the last half hour, we learned that Fall River police arrested two 17-year-old boys, but more arrests could be coming. It's like a reflection of last weekend. More rain on the way. Take a look at this. This tree was split in half by what is now a confirmed tornado. But to really show you that power of that tornado, we're going to take you in here where this giant oak tree was blown over and uprooted. And I think the worst part of this bridge shutdown is just not knowing how bad traffic will be. One day you can drive by with barely any issues, and the next, well, you're stuck in traffic like we are right now. You can see the Coast Guard out here actively working to get that plane that crashed over the weekend out of the water. The changes that are keeping locals hooked. This entire area has become a beach that people can walk on when it used to be underwater. So the town is hopeful that they will make some temporary fixes to the dam. The sheriff says mental health for inmates is a top priority for him, which is why he is making renovations to each cell to make sure they're safe. Do you think right now President Biden is capable of beating Donald Trump?
You know, that's the determination we have to make.
In the last hour, we learned that that victim has been identified as 17-year-old Emil Rodriguez. No suspects have been arrested at this time, and we honestly don't even know if Providence Police really has a lead in this investigation. However, I was able to speak to one neighbor who says that his cameras were able to capture a group of guys going into the trails, but only a few of them coming out. Providence police working day and night to try and figure out who shot and killed 17-year-old Emil Rodriguez. The investigation started after two officers near Legion Memorial Drive heard gunshots and went to investigate.
Affirmative, there's a dead body over here in the woods.
One neighbor described this area as a former lover's lane, but after a few incidents, the neighborhood decided to close the gate to cars. But people can still walk these trails. Like Valdemar Rosales and his son, who were shocked to hear of the murder.
Knowing this is kind of frightening.
Just kind of scary, knowing what happened.
They say they'll start taking more precautions when out on the trails. Meanwhile, people who live nearby are also concerned.
I've been here for 55 years, and it's always been a very safe, quiet neighborhood. And I love it up here.
Providence Police sending its condolences to the victim's family. The chief saying they'll do what they can to get answers.
The Providence Police Department will do the work to gather evidence, to collect the evidence that we need to bring and hold those accountable that commit this act today.
Providence Mayor Brett Smiley going on to say, quote, "This incident underscores the need for more youth violence intervention support and increased community-based policing." And the medical examiner's office told me also within the last hour that the cause of death is still pending. However, Providence police have already called this a homicide investigation, the first in the city of Providence. A lack of resources is a major hurdle for any parent, but one foster parent tells me she feels especially burnt out by the roadblocks. For Melanie Borges, one of her greatest joys in life is to be a parent, which is why she decided to become a foster mom when her two kids went off to college.
My license wasn't even dry yet, and this 8-year-old girl that's the call that we received.
Melanie didn't realize the uphill battle she'd face as she would advocate for her child, whom she says was lost in the education system.
She couldn't read or write, and no one really noticed.
Because of the major wait for an evaluation through the school system, Melanie says nothing was being done. So she personally took her foster child to a physician to be evaluated for an individualized education program.
She had a learning disability. Had that been recognized, and maybe it was, but had she received that support in kindergarten and first grade, then she would have been so much further ahead.
Once her foster daughter got an IEP, Melanie saw a big difference.
You know, she has thrived. She gets, for a kid that couldn't read or write in 3rd grade, she gets straight A's.
But Melanie's now adoptive daughter needs an updated evaluation as she gets ready for high school. And it's been a game of telephone between the state, physicians, and insurance.
You call these places and they're like, well, we've already met our quota for neighborhood health children, so we can't take any more. You're back to square one.
Education Commissioner Angelica Infante Green says the lack of providers in the state has only worsened since the pandemic. The commissioner says right now there is an 8 to 9 month waiting list to evaluate around 700 kids for an IEP.
How often do you go to school?
Infante Green herself says she had to wait 9 months to get her child evaluated by a neuropsychologist.
We're just in a state of crisis right now, and I think that people have sort of thought of the pandemic is over and we're in the clear. No, we're actually right now in the middle of the after effects of the pandemic.
Which is why DCYF Director Ashley Deckert and child advocates are calling for more investments. Progress is being made in order to help reduce the IEP wait list. The state commissioner says they're able to do some aspects of the evaluation virtually. There are also some legislative bills making their way through. Reporting in studio, I'm Alex Torres-Perez, 12 News.